Yo, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to Lycan Studios. Today we're actually going to be taking a look at the final episode of The Leak for Season 8 of Game of Thrones. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Let's jump right into it. So the episode begins with Daenerys arriving back in Winterfell. Tyrion asks her what happened to his brother and Euron. Daenerys says that they are all dead. Jon gathers all of the soldiers and their weapons to prepare them for the fight against the army of the dead. A snowstorm begins to come in over Winterfell. The army of the dead comes with it. The Night King leads them on Viserion. Dany mounts Drogon to fight the Night King in Viserion. There is a dance of dragons over Winterfell, but Drogon's fire does not appear to hurt Viserion or the Night King. Viserion's blue flame hits Drogon and Dany. She is knocked off Drogon and begins to fall, but Drogon saves her by protecting her with his own body. The Night King lands to kill Daenerys, but Jon intervenes. He hits him with Longclaw, but it does not affect him. Rhaegal lands to protect him. Jon mounts Rhaegal with Daenerys, who is now unconscious from the fall. The Night King kills Drogon with Viserion's blue flame. Jon uses Rhaegal to burn Drogon's dead body so the Night King can't raise him as well. Jon lands Rhaegal so he can save Sansa, Arya, Tyrion, and some others before Winterfell is overrun with whites. With everyone now on Rhaegal, Jon flees Winterfell and heads towards the God's Eye where Bran said he was going. As they escape on Rhaegal, Sansa looks back and begins to cry as she witnesses the Night King destroying Winterfell with Viserion and all the Whites and White Walkers slaughtering their men. The Night King and White Walkers then head for the crypts of Winterfell where all the dead kings of winter lay. The Night King places his hand on the ground and all of the statues begin to rumble and crack. Behind some of the statues, all you can see are eyes of ice that begin to glow in the darkness. Tormund, Grey Worm, the Hound, and most of the other men stay behind to fight off the army of the dead while Jon and the others escaped on Rhaegal. They all die as they try to defend Winterfell from the dead. As they approach the God's Eye on Rhaegal, they spot Bran laying on the ground next to the weirwood tree. Jon lands Rhaegal and Daenerys awakens in pain as she is going into labor very early. Jon has no idea because she did not tell him, nor could he tell with Daenerys' heavy clothing on. Dany is very weakened by the fall and she knows that she will not survive giving birth. She then gives birth to a premature baby girl. She whispers to Jon that she wants the baby to be called Lyanna after the woman her brother died for. Jon tells Daenerys that that was his mother's name right as she dies. After Daenerys dies, Jon takes the baby and carries her over to where Bran is. It appears that Bran is still in a vision, but when Jon looks into his eyes, they are blue like the Night King's instead of white. As Jon is looking at Bran wondering what is happening, a storm begins to roll over the God's Eye. The Night King has arrived on Viserion. Jon mounts Rhaegal and meets the Night King in the sky. The dance of dragons begins over the God's Eye. Rhaegal and Viserion begin to shoot flames so close to each other that Jon can feel the blue flame. For a moment, Jon and the Night King share another look, and Jon notices the Night King's eyes look exactly like Bran's are now. Rhaegal's fire does nothing to Viserion or the Night King. Jon knows in order to kill the Night King, he is going to have to kill his brother Bran. Jon begins to cry as he lands the dragon near Bran's body. Jon climbs off Rhaegal and unsheaths his sword Longclaw. As Jon is doing this, the Night King is circling back towards him on Viserion. For a moment, Jon contemplates if this is the right thing to do or not, but he then sees the Night King coming right for him, so he plunges Longclaw into Bran's heart and the sword catches on fire and begins to glow red. When Jon does this, the Night King and Viserion simultaneously explode into 1,000 pieces of ice like the White Walkers did when he had killed them before. The screen will then go black for a moment. The next and final scene will be months later. There will be a shot of King's Landing completely destroyed but being repaired. There will be a shot of castles in the north completely destroyed but being rebuilt. Then finally in Winterfell, almost all of the snow is melted away. Jon is holding baby Lyanna and he's with Sansa, Arya, Tyrion, Davos, Gendry, Brienne, and a few others. Jon is now the king of the 7 kingdoms, but he tells everyone there will no longer be one king for the 7 kingdoms. Each will be independent. Gendry is legitimized and given Storm's End. Tyrion is given Casterly Rock. Sansa is given Winterfell. Brienne is given Highgarden. Arya says she doesn't want a castle. She says she is going west. This makes Jon smile. Jon says he has somewhere he wants to go to. He wants Lyanna to see Ned and his mother. Jon and baby Lyanna head for the crypts of Winterfell. Most of the statues are still destroyed, but repairs are being made. Jon stops in front of Lyanna's cracked statue, and inside he sees a harp. With baby Lyanna in his arms, Jon has a smile on his face and a tear in his eye. He sits down and begins to pluck at the strings and sings Lyanna a song as the episode ends. Jaime Lannister and Euron Greyjoy are never heard from again. They are presumably dead. And there you have the final episode of Game of Thrones. Now the leak in this episode, it was pretty damn good. But of course, like the rest of the leak, there are some really big holes and some things that just probably will not happen, so let's break it down. Real quick, if you did make it this far and you are going to listen to the breakdown, definitely put in the comments below something like "I'm liking this" or whatever, and you'll be entered in the chance to win a shout out in the next video. Also, leave a like and subscribe if you haven't. So it starts off, she gets back at Winterfell, tells everyone that the rest of the people are dead, so Jon gathers all the soldiers and their weapons to prepare them for the fight. That sounds good. I mean, nothing really you can argue about that. So after that, the army of the dead finally arrive at Winterfell. Of course, the Night King is leading them on Viserion, and then basically they start a dance of dragons because Dany actually mounts Drogon to fight the Night King. So that all sounds pretty good. Of course, Jon's not going to want her to go, like he's obviously going to be saying something. But anyways, they find out right here that they cannot hurt the Night King. That's pretty crazy. It says that Drogon's fire does not appear to hurt the Night King or Viserion, but then Viserion's blue flame hits Drogon and Dany. Now this is kind of interesting right here because we know that regular fire does not hurt her. But would this be more like, kind of like an icy blast? I'm not too sure. It's kind of like blue flame, so it's technically fire. So this technically should not hurt her at all, right? It says she is knocked off Drogon and begins to fall, but Drogon saves her by protecting her with his own body. Even though that's not really realistic, like they would both still take the impact of the fall. I mean, I guess it could happen. He could be lifting her up a little bit. But anyways, for the sake of the show, that could probably happen. So then basically the Night King lands to take out Daenerys. Jon intervenes. He hits him with Longclaw and finds out that that does not affect him either. He's probably like, shit, this sucks. Rhaegal lands to protect him, and then Jon ends up mounting Rhaegal with Daenerys, who is now unconscious from the fall. So that pretty much just sounds like Jon saving Daenerys. I'm sure it could happen. Sure, it would happen. And then basically it says that the Night King has Viserion kill Drogon, but at least Jon is smart enough to use Rhaegal to incinerate Drogon. That way he can't be raised. He can't be raised, that's the right word, to fight along with the army of the dead. That's one of the reasons Jon is one of my favorite characters. He's a very smart guy, so I definitely could see him doing that. He just knows that they really don't want to be fighting two dragons. But anyways, it says he lands Rhaegal and he saves Sansa, Arya, Tyrion, and a few others before Winterfell's overran. So I guess they decide to go where Bran's at, towards the God's Eye, and as they're leaving, basically Sansa looks back, sees like Winterfell basically burning to the ground, her people getting slaughtered, so of course she cries. I mean, that's her childhood home. And that basically means that Tormund, Grey Worm, and the Hound, they all die. They stayed back to help fight off the army of the dead, and they don't make it. I kind of think it will happen, but if Tormund and the Hound both die, I hope they get a killer death scene, like just slaying a bunch of people, and then finally just get taken out by like 15 of them or something. But anyways, then another cool scene goes down. It says basically that the Night King heads for the crypts of Winterfell, puts his hand down on the ground, and raises all of the dead that was in the crypt. So like all of their ancestors, all the old Starks and stuff come back from the dead with their eyes glowing blue. Now just imagine that scene. That would be incredible. So this next part's a little weird. Like basically as soon as they get to the weirwood tree where they find Bran laying down, Daenerys basically starts going into labor. Like obviously pain and stuff like that can cause premature birth, but you know, like for her to go into labor and have the baby actually right here, seems like a little bit of a long shot, but you never know, it could happen. Basically she dies, and Jon and her obviously find out the secrets that they've been holding from each other. He tells her as she dies that Lyanna was actually his mother. So I'm not even too sure, like out of all of them, who would really like help her with the baby. Like these guys don't really know anything about delivering a baby, and that's not really something that someone can kind of just push out by themselves and stuff. But then again, like I said, you never really know. I could definitely see her dying while she's giving birth, but I just don't think it's going to be at the God's Eye right before all this stuff goes down. So then Jon takes the baby, which I think it would be named Lyanna. That's pretty cool. But you gotta remember, like, she just came out of her mom's womb. Like, she's gonna be all bloody and stuff, so Jon's just taking her, I guess, if this is how it goes down. Walks over to where Bran's at, near the tree, and realizes that Bran is still in a vision, but his eyes are blue instead of white. Now, Melisandre already told him about this in this theory, so I think Jon would already know. Like, I don't think it's going to take him this much time. Like, I think he would have already started crying here. Like, he knows that that Bran's eyes are blue. Melisandre talked about, like, a boy wolf being next to the weirwood tree, and Jon is just, like, out of everybody, he's probably seen the most White Walkers and stuff, so he should kind of know right here, and I think he would start crying if this is how it goes down right about here. I guess I could kind of see him jumping on Rhaegal again and trying to kill him, doing the Dance of Dragons again, but I feel like Jon would have just known about it right there. He'd have thought about it, and he'd have probably just took out Bran right there. But it looks like he jumps back on Rhaegal. They have another Dance of Dragons. He basically finds out again that he cannot hurt the Night King. So he lands and then basically kills his brother Bran. So of course after that, the Night King explodes, Viserion explodes, pretty much anything to do with the Army of the Dead, they just all explode, and the screen goes black. They don't waste any time at all. They basically go into the final scene where they're kind of just rebuilding everything. It says that Jon is holding baby Lyanna at Winterfell. I think they're at Winterfell. Yeah, they're at Winterfell. He's with Sansa, Arya, Tyrion, Davos, Gendry, Brienne, and a few others. And he basically says that he is the king, but everybody's going to be independent. Each kingdom is going to be independent. Gendry is given Storm's End, which sounds good. Tyrion is given Casterly Rock, which is, of course, good. Sansa is given Winterfell. Brienne is given Highgarden. And Arya doesn't want a castle. Obviously, she's going west. I don't know if she's going back to Braavos. Like, man, I don't see how they can leave so much stuff open, like, if this happened like this. Like, I feel like they're going to have to close that whole thing out. But it says this makes Jon smile, and he ends up going down to the crypts to see Lyanna and Ned. Or he wants Lyanna to see Lyanna and Ned. So anyways, he takes her down there and finds a harp, which actually belonged to Rhaegar, and begins to play it and basically just sings Lyanna a song. So it's kind of cool. Like, I don't know if he would automatically kind of just get like harp playing abilities like that, but it is pretty cool. Kind of wraps up, I don't know, wraps it up pretty nicely. But then at the end, it says Jaime Lannister and Euron Greyjoy are never heard from again and presumed dead. I call bullshit. There's no way that they have a show this big and do not wrap up everything. Like, they have to wrap up everything. There's no way they could leave anybody hanging at all whatsoever. That would be really messed up. Like, if Jaime was just never heard from again, like, I don't know. I don't think they have it in them to do that, but at the same time, I've said it once and I'll say it again. You never know about the Game of Thrones. Like, if they left a character hanging like that, that would be impressive, but very weird and crazy at the same time. You guys think they could actually do that? I don't see any way whatsoever. But anyways, I just wanted to thank you guys so much for watching like this little leak review and stuff. Obviously, it's not 100% there. There's no way. Like, Bronn was not mentioned in this, so like there's just a lot of things that are missing, but the general idea I think is pretty crazy. Like, I think Bran will end up being the Night King. I think Daenerys has a very good possibility of dying. I don't think Jon will, but we'll just have to wait and see come April of next year. But anyways, make sure you smash that thumbs up button. If you got this far, leave me a comment saying so, and we'll see you guys later. Peace.